Jiggy.
Just heard somebody just briefly there. Hello, it's me, it's Nathan and WP Builds. It's episode number 273. I'm already chuckling of this week in WordPress. That means we've done 272 other episodes. You can find them on the WP Builds .com website. An absolute pleasure having you on the show. If you fancy joining us in the comments, please feel free to do that. So a few bits of housekeeping before we introduce the guests properly, if that's all right. If you fancy making a contribution to this show, we'd really love that. Probably the best way to do that is to go to this URL, wpbuilds.com/live. If you go there, then you need to be logged into some kind of Google account because it's YouTube comments. However, a neat little feature of the platform that I've started to use recently, if you don't want to be logged into anything, if you go to that page, in the top right-hand corner of the video, so you're looking inside the video embed, is a tiny little box and it says live chat. You can chat in there and you don't need to be logged into any kind of platform. But anyway, if you do want to comment, we'd really appreciate that. The other option is to go to our Facebook group. If you're in there, there's one little extra that you've got to do, and that's to go to wpbuilds.com/Facebook. That'll get you in there, and then you've got to go through a little bit of jiggery pokery because Facebook do not let us have your avatar and name unless you go wave.video/lives/Facebook and surrender your entire life to us and Facebook. Anyway, there we go. That's it. Michelle, I'm going to leave you to last because she's got a bit of a surprise in store, and there's only so much I can cope with today. You'll notice that there are some silly bits around the edge because it's coming up to Halloween. I know that in the US it's a big deal. In the UK it's not so much of a big deal, but we thought we'd make the effort anyway. But joining us down there, we got Wendie. How are you doing, Wendie? She's on mute.
I am muted,
You're not muted
but
now.
good.
How are you? You all right?
Yeah, I'm all good.
Well, let me introduce you properly. Wendie is one of the lead organisers of WordCamp Europe 2024. We'll find out more about that in a little while. The team is already working on organising the event, and she is super excited and is happy to share where we are in the process, what they're focused on, and also what the challenges are. We will get to that a little bit later. But thank you for joining us once again, Wendie. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Fun fact, years and years ago, both Wendie and I were in a program called WP Elevation, and she was my accountability partner. Although, what was that, like 10 years ago or something?
Yeah, something like that. We go way back.
Yeah, we do. That was that was great, wasn't it? And we're also joined by Roger. How are you doing, Roger?
All good. Thank you for inviting me.
You are so welcome, Roger. You join us. I think, is this the second or maybe third time? I can't remember.
No, this is actually the first time.
Is it?
Offline a couple of times, but never on the show.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, well, thank you. Roger is an agency turned WordPress product founder. The company that he works for, WildCloud, introduces the scalable infrastructure of SaaS to the WordPress community, enabling builders to compete with Shopify, Webflow, and Wix. You're very modest there, Roger. You haven't actually named the company or told us much about it. Well, go on, quick elevator pitch. Tell us what it is.
So the company's called wildcloud.com. And we actually make it possible to build a single WordPress website once, turn it into a product, sell that to your customers, and basically improve all of your customers safely over time. So we essentially make it possible to sell and maintain more websites with fewer people.
Nice. Well, I appreciate you joining us today for the first time.
Thanks.
Apologies. But your face and everything about that whole background is really familiar. So just assumed that you'd been on this show.
I make a lot of videos.
That's what it is. Okay, right. Last year, at about this time last year, more or less to the day, Michelle didn't come on the screen, but she came on the show and then she clicked the turn the camera on button. And I actually had a fit because she was dressed as me. And it was pretty funny because I wasn't expecting it. The thing is, I don't know what she's doing this year. So hold on. First of all, I don't know if I can make you big. I think I can. Right, let's click that. Right, Michelle. Right, shall I count you down? 3.
I can't hear all of a sudden right now, so hold on.
Just Do it whenever you like. 3, 2, 1. Go for it.
Okay, here we go. Wait, here's the mug.
Is that actually on your face or is that AI?
Oh, it's on my face.
Let's just take that in for a minute. Some kind of like dog with a hat that says this is fine on it. Got some kind of fire back. What are you thinking? You got to explain it.
You've never seen the meme? There's a meme with a dog sitting with a cup of coffee and the whole house is burning down around him, and he says, "This is fine."
Oh, okay. No, I haven't, but it's all the better for that. Honestly, you are priceless. Oh, that's brilliant. This is the level that I went
put it in the
to.
chat.
I must look at the chat. I'll do that in a second. This is the level that I went to. I strung up about 6 skulls in the background, which is a half-baked attempt at anything, frankly. Right, okay, let's have a look in the live chat. There's quite a few.
Yeah, half-baked attempts. We're in the Netherlands. I think Roger is also in the Netherlands. I don't think we do Halloween. Well, some of us do, like for fun, but it's not really a thing.
It's not really a thing in the UK either, but nevertheless, we're gonna go for it because
we're gonna full Halloween today.
We're gonna go full Halloween. One of the things that I want to do first of all is this. If anybody says anything funny, yeah, there's that. Or we might get this one. I like this one more. Yeah, I like that. And if you do anything really brilliant, you'll get this. And honestly, these are the depths to which I will sink.
So that is the life goal for today.
Yeah, that's
do
it.
Something that is gonna.
Gotta make us all laugh. But yeah, anyway, so we'll have fun during this episode. Let's see if there's anybody joined us in the comments. There usually is, and usually some weather reports. Rob Cairns joins us to say hi. Thank you very much. Mark still looking at Michelle. Good morning from Team WP Builds. Looking forward to a spooktacular show. Thank you. Mike, who is a bit of a regular these days, loving the spooky graph. Thank you, Mike. It took me literally 12 seconds to put that together. I'm very proud of myself. Peacher says, wow, so many friends on the show today. That's lovely. Mike Johnston says, I don't know how to pronounce that. Boatard from Lisbon. Apologies if I've butchered that. I think I probably have. Patrick, we're going to talk about you later. He says hi. Dave Gray joining us from the south of the UK, testing the live chat. It works, Dave. I can confirm. Peacher says she's looking forward to Michelle's Halloween special. Well, there it is. You can see it now. I have no doubt there will be something. Can she shop top last year's one? I think she can, and I think she has. Hello from Sweden. Thank you very much for joining us. Mans, apologies, Mans. I'm sure that little accent above the A probably means that it's not pronounced like that, but I apologise. Leia WP waiting for the reveal. Oh, I suspect that's already happened. And then loads of people laughing at the reveal. Peter Ingersoll, who always joins us for the weather report. After a record-setting high temperature on Saturday, the rains came in. It's currently 8 degrees centigrade. Nice.
Same here, Peter.
He always joins us to give us the weather report. Aldermaston in the UK is fine today, and I think that's it. That's what we've got so far.
If you go to the private chat, I sent you a link that you can show the meme this goes with.
Oh, okay. All right. Let me put that on the screen. Let's have a quick look at that. If I can make... do you know what? My Mac clipboard, I don't know if you get the same thing. My Mac clipboard is really temperamental at the moment. I updated to the latest version of Mac OS a little while ago, and it really doesn't want to do anything to do with the clipboard. So I have to do everything with a keyboard, with the mouse. Okay, here we go. Let's have a little look. Let's share it on the screen. This is the thing. This is okay. Now I get it. Michelle, you're a wonder. Thank you so much. Oh, sorry, I wasn't able to join in on the gag because I didn't actually know it. But yeah,
well, now you do. So that's good.
Now I do. Okay, Michelle Frechette, we should introduce her. There she is, dressed as that meme. She's the Director of Community Engagement for Stellar WP at Liquid Web. And in addition to working at Stellar WP, Michelle is the podcast barista over at WP Coffee Talk. She's the co-founder of Underrepresented in Tech, creator of WP Career Pages, president of the board of Big Orange Heart, director of community relations, and contributor at Post Status. She's an author, business coach, and a frequent organizer of WordPress events. She lives outside Rochester, New York, where she's an avid nature photographer. She also likes memes, and you can find her at meetmichelle.online. Much as we love the silliness that comes with this, we are going to get to some actual WordPress stuff. I'm sure you'll be pleased to know. So here we go. Let's begin that journey. First of all, a little bit self-promotion. This is us, wpbuilds.com. You can see we are gratefully sponsored by GoDaddy Pro. Thank you to them for keeping the lights on over on this show and all the other shows that we do. I am very, very grateful to them indeed. The other thing to mention is this is a silly award that we are running. We don't make a dime out of it. It's all for the good of the WPCC, which is the WordPress Community Collective. If you want to, I know it's that time of the year, isn't it? There's loads of awards going on. So I thought, let's do the antidote to those awards. You don't get to vote on anything. You essentially get to go here. Each of these is a radio button that you can't switch off or can't switch on. So you have no choice. You just go to the bottom and you cast your vote. And in order to get your name on this illustrious list, you have to submit a receipt to me of $20 minimum for the WPCC. And in exchange for that, you will guarantee yourself a win on the most important award ceremony of the year, the WP Builds WordPress Awards. And we've got some stupidity going on. The best WordPress blog, David McCann. Funniest laid-back WordPresser is Chefro. Top taco tycoon of WordPress is Carl Van Dusen, and the list goes on. Third coolest, Dave Smith in the WP community. There we go. And so if you want to do that, give them some money. wpbuilds.com/awards. Do it. Raise some money. It's for a good cause. We've got a couple of webinars going on at the moment. The first one is with Leo Lozovic from Gato GraphQL. We're on the third episode. Probably not this week. It's supposed to be on Wednesday, but looks like he's out of action this week. But we'll carry that on. That's at Archives, Demo Archives. I've started a new show with Sabrina Zidane, all about speeding up your WordPress website. First episode, we did hero videos. Second episode, lazy loaded images. Who knows what she's going to tell us this week? But that'll be on Thursday at 3 p.m. UK time. And finally, this is our Black Friday page, sponsored by Gravity Forms and WS Form. That competition right at the top of the page right there. You can imagine those two fighting it out. But this is a searchable, filterable page of loads and loads of WordPress deals. You can go in and decide what it is that you want to look at. And typically we get about 300 things on there by Black Friday. It's wpbuilds.com/black. Just head there, bookmark it, and we will have boatloads of deals by the turn of Black Friday. So here we go. Right, enough promotion. Thank you. Let's go. Justin Tadlock on the Make WordPress Core blog this week had an article entitled What's New in Gutenberg 16.9? And the answer is there's a couple of nice new features. This one is my favorite, and it sounds like it's Wendie's favorite as well. We'll go into a few of them a little bit later. But you have the capacity now. I'm going to turn that annoying noise off because it's doing my head in. Oh, God, it was really frustrating, wasn't it? You can now rename almost all the blocks from the editor. There's a few exceptions. You can't rename core /block, template part, pattern, or navigation. But basically now, if you want to go into the navigation and you want to give it a new name, you can. It sounds like a trivial thing. But in my case, where I'm creating paragraph after paragraph after paragraph, it actually is going to be really nice to be able to rename these things. So, Wendie, when we were talking about this show before we pressed record, you thought this was nice. Why did you like this?
Yeah, for the same reason that you liked it. I work at Automatic. I do live chat support for WordPress.com, and we often help users, and they say, well, I have this thing in my paragraph, and it's really weird, and then you open the page, and they, like you, have 70 paragraph blocks, and then you have to find the right one, which is, of course, doable, except in the list view, which I use a lot. And having paragraphs or things have specific names makes it so much easier to use the list view. Also because for me, the list view is so much easier in reorganizing different blocks. but it is not if all your blocks have the same name. So that's why I really, really like it.
Yeah, Roger. Before we hit record, it sort of thought that well, you didn't say as much, but it sounded like you were surprised that both Wendie and I thought that was useful.
No, I was just jumping in and trying to figure out what it was about. I think I fell into half the middle of a conversation, but exactly as you say, Wendie, this is a common problem that I have with writing articles on our website. So I can't wait to use it, really.
I guess for me, it'll be most useful actually for parent items. So things like the group block, where I want to say, for example, I don't know, this is the hero, this is the, I don't know, the testimonials section, and it's at the top of the tree, so I can collapse everything underneath it. And I know that that's where I've got to find it. At the moment, if I'm in a block-based page or post, I have to basically click on an item near to where I want to get to, open up the inserter, and then navigate with my eyes back to the parent in order to find it. Whereas actually having it named would be great. Anybody listening to this, this is so not going to happen, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Could we color code those as well? Can we have some kind of color taxonomy so that all of my things can be like purple or something? I don't know. That's never going to happen. Michelle, what do you want to be called today? Are you still Michelle?
Yeah, I'm still Michelle. I don't know if that dog has a name, so we'll just call it Michelle.
Any thoughts on this one? Just this first little bit first?
I think it looks like a great idea. I like being able to find things because of something that makes sense in my own head versus somebody else's head. So
yeah, maybe that alone is all that's required, because just having it as paragraph is no good. There's more though. Duplicate and rename patterns. That's going to be really nice. That's one of the features that I make use of in the block editor all the time is saving away patterns and being able to duplicate them and rename them. That's really nice. Do all that on the fly. You can delete pattern and rename pattern categories as well. I confess that's not a feature I've really made a great deal of use of, but the idea that you can store, particular patterns away. I don't know, these are all heading patterns and these are all testimonial patterns or whatever it may be, and then you can rename that is kind of cool. And there's a bunch of other things as well. So for example, Gutenberg 16.9 also introduces 2 new media categories. I don't know how these didn't make it thus far, but audio and video, which kind of makes perfect sense. The idea that you can categorize those, that just seems really obvious. There's a whole bunch of other really technical stuff further down, but we won't get into that. But that is WordPress 16.9 as described by the somewhat awesome Justin Tadlock. If there's nothing else on that, we'll move on. Give us a nod of the head. Yeah, okay, perfect. All right, in which case we will press forwards. This is the WordPress field guide. This is for WordPress 6.4. We can't be really far away. Just a matter of days now before WordPress 6. What was that?
Next week.
Yeah, really soon. Comes around. There's absolutely boatloads of work that's been done on it. Well, you can see the statistics if you're looking at the page. There's hundreds and hundreds of contributors, lots of bugs squashed, and so on and so forth. But let's go into some of the things which are going to be coming your way. We have talked about quite a lot of this in the past, but this is quite exciting. WordPress 6.4 introduces block hooks. This is on the make.wordpress.org blog, I should say, which is a feature that provides an extensible mechanism for block themes. This is the first step in emulating WordPress's hooks. This is the concept that allows developers to extend classic themes using filters and actions, and I'm sure we've probably all made use of that, even if we haven't written the code for ourselves. It also adds extenders so that you can register your own inserter media categories. We've just been talking about those. Admin notices are also getting, well, it says here 2 new functions, abstract HTML markup generation to reduce the maintenance burden. And here's the big bit, encourage consistency in admin notices. Whether or not this will, make it so that everybody adheres to those guidelines is yet to be seen. But hopefully the idea that there'll be some kind of admin notice consistency. And new WordPress installs will now have, this is massive, media uploaded in WordPress 6.4. Now it does say here, new WordPress installation. So I don't know if I need to imply that then is not for older installations. You will now not have an actual page created by default every time you upload a piece of media. I don't, for the life of me, know why this one hasn't gone away a long time ago, but now you upload media, it will just be in the library and you won't be able to or find it elsewhere, presumably through the URL. And there is a boatload of performance improvements. Again, the technical details are far too uninteresting, shall we say, to stay on a podcast like this, but there's loads. So anybody want to jump in on that, the things that I just mentioned?
Just a reminder that this has been from the all underrepresented gender squad, and everybody in that team has been hard at work. I'm on the marketing team and had a little bit of inputs here and there as far as what's going out publicly. I wrote one of the haiku, for example, but it's exciting. It's exciting whenever you get this close to publishing. There's always going to be a bug here or there that people are going to find and we're going to fix. And I don't know, it's exciting whenever these kinds of changes come around, and it's really exciting to have been part of the whole process.
Nice. That's lovely. Ben Intel, the developer, one of them, I guess, lead developer of Stackable, he's glad that we switched the noises off because he thought, thought his tap was running. And then going back to something just a moment ago, Mark Westgard from WS Form, he says renaming blocks is huge. Yeah, it's on the face of it doesn't seem like a big thing, but it really is a big thing. Mm-hmm. You've been able to do this in things like generate blocks for a little while now, so that option has become kind of like muscle memory for me, but the idea that you can do it with core blocks is really great. Anyway, sorry, Wendie, Roger, anything about 6.4's field guide?
No, excited that it's coming. Also, accessibility. I saw there were quite a bunch of accessibility improvements, which is good thing because we can't have too many of those.
Right.
No, so yeah, that sort of drilled down to the bottom there. There is a boatload listed down here in terms of accessibility as well. So maybe the best thing is to go to that page and you'll see what's coming. Get yourself prepared because it's quite a big release. Roger, should we move on?
Yeah, please do. As long as you're on the subject of sharing funny comments, I earlier read that Layer WP thinks that your witch sounds like his ex. Rather remarkable.
Let's do some more of those just because it's funny. I have 5 to choose from. So you could. So this is sound number 1. Tell me which your favorite is. So this is 5 witch sounds. Here's 1. Okay, a little bit thin on the ground. Here's 2. Okay. Here's 4.
Oh my.
Yeah, it sounds painful. And here's 5, my personal favorite. So Layers WP, which one is it? No comment.
If there's anyone else in the audience.
Yeah. Thank you for the interesting comment.
I think that 4th one was from my first ex-stepmother.
Okay, here she comes.
Yeah, that sounds like her.
It's hysterical, isn't it? They're so kind of like out of the box. You've no idea. I spent about an hour this morning trying to find sounds for Halloween. I thought it would be really easy in the open source, free to find. It's really not. There's hardly any.
So what is a Halloween sound? Is it the weird laughter or is it?
I went round and tried everything. So this I googled the word cackle, witch cackle. And that got me what I wanted, but there was.
I'm so glad my laugh is not in that list.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm now going to mute myself every time I laugh.
If anybody says something funny, I'm going to raise that. 3rd one, says Ben. Okay, so
yeah,
Ben,
me too. It's my favorite too. It's my favorite.
Ben. Well, I think Ben was saying it sounded most like somebody that he knows. I'm not getting embroiled in this. I fear the lawyer's coming out. But here is Ben's ex. Okay, right. No more of that, Ben. Thank you. All right, here we go. Let's move on to the next story. So from frivolity to something entirely the opposite. So let's just calm it down a minute. If you were going to be attending the Elementor event, it's called Dream Web, and it was an event they were going to be holding in a couple of days' time in Berlin, Germany. It was a live event. I'm imagining that if you didn't know, if I simply said that Elementor is a company largely based out of Israel. I'm sure that paints enough of a picture for you to realize that there's probably enough going on elsewhere for that event to take place. So they took the decision that event is going to be cancelled indefinitely. They've said that they will return when days are calmer, to paraphrase it, basically. But when I was reading that article, obviously I completely understood. So if you were hoping to go, presumably the communications have gone out from them, and you've cancelled your flights and your train journeys and whatever else it was. But this struck me. I almost thought this was a typo when I saw it. It says here in 2022, Elementor hosted more than 400 meetup events. Now that's like 1.2 a day or something for the entirety of the year. And I really didn't know that Elementor was putting that much content out. And I'm sure it was in the Elementor space, probably promoting their own
they have
bits
a very active meetup community. They do elementary meetups. Yeah.
That is just remarkable, though, isn't it? More than one a day. I mean, I can't think of any. Mind you, I suppose they have the reach with over 5 million active installs. When we were doing this show like 3 or 4 years ago, we basically spoke about Elementor more or less constantly. I know that sort of died down a little bit as Gutenberg has gone up in popularity, but still pretty impressive. Bravo for running so many events. But also, if you were thinking of going to that event and for some reason you didn't know about it, there you go. It has been cancelled for obvious reasons. Asking you not to get into politics. Does anybody want to comment on that one?
It's a shame. I was looking forward to going to Berlin.
Mm-hmm. Did you were going to go in person, were you?
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, that is a shame. Yeah. I guess hold on to the ticket or something like that, because it does sound like they're intending to bring that back live, but I guess only time will tell how that actually pans out. So good luck anyway, Elementor. Let's hope that you manage to revive that when times are, as you describe it, calmer. Okay, if you like open source stuff, and let's face it, who doesn't? The state of open source. It's a survey. Honestly, if you're tuning into this podcast and you don't know that WordPress is open source, what the heck? But it's a piece of open source software, which means it's freely distributable. You can copy it, make it your own, fork it, all of that kind of stuff. But there's tons of open source stuff out there, from operating systems to, I don't know, like I've got a media player on my desktop here called VLC, which is open source. There's thousands and thousands and thousands of open source projects, of which WordPress is one. And there's a survey where non-profits, really this survey is for people who have something open source-y, but it's called the Open Source Survey, and it's out now. And if you have intuitions as to what you think open source should be doing in the future and what it's doing well and what it's not doing well, you can click on the link into the show notes, which I'll do tomorrow. But it's the surveymonkey.com/r/open-source-initiative and run through that survey. I know that we only talk ever about WordPress, but obviously there's an awful lot of stuff going on in the background. Probably a whole bunch of the stuff that we're running this software on is open source. There's loads. So maybe go and fill that out. Again, I don't know if anybody wants to comment on that. If so, now's your chance.
I haven't had a chance to look at it yet, but I do hope that companies that are doing these kinds of surveys are really paying attention to what good survey, how to write a good survey. So, for example, I love that we do this in WordPress every year, but the survey itself doesn't have all the right answers. So as somebody who works within another company, for example, sometimes I have to pick the closest thing, which isn't really what I do with WordPress kind of thing. So, and how we use scale and things like that. So having a lot of background in survey design, I'm often disappointed in how surveys look. Hopefully this one is put together well.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys use a lot of open source stuff, but I tend to go out of my way to find open source where I can. I think in many situations, I have to throw my hands up and say, actually, do you know what? A proprietary paid for closed source version is better for what I need. But on the whole, I always exhaust the open source possibilities first. For many years I worked with Linux as my desktop operating system, and then one too many tantrums. It was like, no, today is the day that I start using Mac OS or something like that, which again is built on top of a boatload of open source stuff. So Wendie, Roger, anything on that?
Yeah,
I
I
agree
used to
with
work
you.
on. Sorry.
No, please, Wendie.
Wendie.
I used to work on Linux as well, and then again, doing my best to find open source options, but it just exhausted me. So I'm now paying for. I'm using a standard operating system and paying for most of the software. Also, I really like the idea of contributing to someone making stuff by
Yeah.
paying with for the things that I use. Yeah, somehow my mind changed about using open source and especially the free part. I mean, I like the open source, but also I like paying the people that I use the stuff from, because contributing is not for everybody. And the people that do contribute, I'm a little bit distracted. My dad is here and he is in my garden with the hedge trimmer like this big going around like this.
We can't hear it.
Talking about Halloween.
We can't hear it, but we can hear your dog. My dad's here with a hedge trimmer. That's going to be the title of this episode. Yeah. So, Roger, are you a big user of open source stuff?
Well, we use Kubernetes, which is an orchestration tool to orchestrate cloud containers. So in that sense, you could say our whole company is based on open source software, either for orchestrating cloud containers or we facilitate WordPress websites, obviously. But in my personal life, I try to, but it's like you. At some point, you kind of have to yield to whatever's helping you best in a certain area. And I use a Mac as well. So it's...
Yeah, I really had to convince myself to use a Mac, but it was I think the straw that broke the camel's back, see what I did there, was trying to get things to print from my Ubuntu laptop and trying to find the right packages to install and then troubleshoot those. And I had a printer that was particularly wonky, and man alive, I must have spent weeks trying to make things print, and I just thought, this is getting ridiculous. And so much as I love those projects, I think on the whole they're for people who had more time around than I did. The advent of children in my life meant that 3 days troubleshooting printers, nah, that's not going to fly anymore. So yeah, I get it. When you're doing your Kubernetes containers, does that project deliver all the time, or do you have to constantly troubleshoot it in the same way that I did with my Ubuntu laptop and printers? Or is it a rock solid, constantly updated project which you never have to worry too much about?
Well, I'm clearly not doing anything right now, so it doesn't require constant attention. Yeah. But also, I'm not the one. I've got much smarter, more brilliant co-founders to handle that.
Because it is a lot, isn't it? Building your career on top of open source stuff, because you just don't really know when that's going to get updated and how frequently it will be.
Interesting. Yeah, I suppose so. I mean, one of my co-founders is on a beach in Thailand right now, so clearly they've got a lot of confidence in the infrastructure.
Yeah. It's you've got to have the mobile phone though, right? Just in case something goes wrong, you immediately have to get off the beach in Thailand. But we all do it, don't we? If we're watching the show, it's very likely that we built at least some part of our business or life on top of WordPress, which is open source. But here we are talking about the great lengths that people go to improve it incrementally, one bit at a time. Seems like you can, bet your business on top of open source software, and I kind of want it to carry on and be available. So here we go. Look, the open source software, the state of it, the 2024 State of Open Source Software Survey. I have completed it, but it was a little while ago, and I can't remember how long it took, but it's not very long. It won't take you long, and, it's basically checkboxes and little fields to specify what you think. So go and fill that out and make sure that the entire open source community is getting some love. Peter is chiming in on Michelle's comment. He says that creating a good survey is both an art and a science, and it's really hard.
It really is, yeah.
Yeah. And then Leia WP or Ben, OS is the way, but sometimes you have to go paid for it. It's a trade-off, easy to use, cost associated with OS hosting, etc. Yeah, I just had a bee in my bonnet about using Ubuntu in this case, or a whole variety of different Linux distributions, and really it got to the point where it was just not worth the time I was spending on it. And I still never seem to have too many problems with Mac OS. Once in a while I do, but on the whole it just works. Right, moving on. Okay. We did My Silly Award at the beginning, where you can nominate somebody for the WPCC contribution. But this is Bluehost one. I think this is a little older than just recently, but I only caught sight of it this week, so I thought I'd mention it. They're on the hunt for 20 WordPress creators. Now, I think that you can nominate yourself as well as other people, but basically they're looking to give away cash prizes to 20 people in the WordPress space. You can submit your application here. But what they're looking for, it says the Bluehost WordPress Creators Award is our way of recognizing and celebrating the best WordPress websites and their creators, whether it's a website, blog, plugin, or theme. So it's pretty open. Could be almost anybody, really, couldn't it? If it's WordPress, we want to see it. And
yeah, but podcasts are not in the list, so we can't nominate you.
No, but I mean, nobody listens to podcasts, Wendie.
Right.
No, I suspect I would get under the radar for that. I'm imagining that they would allow it. Yeah, so could you all nominate me, please? I want to win this award because no, don't nominate me. The first place is $2,000. Second place is $1,000. Third place is $500, and then 14 other winners will receive $150 each. So I just saw this as a nice opportunity to get some recognition. You know, if there's some project out there that you're particularly inspired by, some developer, blog creator, writer, whatever it may be, you can submit them to this, and presumably the more people that submit the same name, the more time, they just jump up the tree, and eventually somebody will receive $2,000. So go and nominate Nathan Wrigley. Somebody, whoever you like, Nathan Wrigley.
The whole process, yeah.
What do you mean it's a whole process?
So, we're anticipating there will be many, many sites submitted and people submitted. And then based on certain criteria, it'll be narrowed down. And then if you scroll down, there's a whole bunch of us on the jury, and we'll actually be adjudicating the sites. So it's not a popularity contest. It's not whoever gets nominated the most. You didn't have to zoom in, but
well, no, because I just wanted to draw attention to the fraudulent nature of this photograph. That's nothing. What you don't look at all like that. You've got this, this bit above your lip is significantly anyway.
A little different. Yeah, you can't even see me smile in this costume.
You look more like this.
But I have been.
Yeah, that's what she actually.
But yeah,
is that the same photo? I think that's the same photo. I've got it on your WP speakers card, which is lying on my desk here. Look.
Yep.
There you go. So you're one of the judges, along with it looks like about 20 other people. Rob Cairns, who's in the comments.
I thought those were the people that were nominated.
Yeah.
No, these are the jurors.
But these are all cool people that should be nominated.
Well, that's why we're on the jury, so that.
Touche. Nice comeback.
Yeah, put you in the jury, and then you're out of the running. It's like all these years I've been organizing WordCamp US, so I can't submit myself as a speaker. But one of these years, I'm going to be like, no, I'm not going to organize. I'm just going to submit. This is the same idea, right? Well, you're a juror. You can't submit yourself.
Yeah, you get ruled out if you're on the jury. So you basically can't vote for any of those people. But there we go. Look, a whole host of very familiar names and faces there. These are the people that will make that decision. So go check it out. We'll be talking about James Giroux in just a moment, actually. But yeah, go check it out, and you might make somebody very, very happy. Suddenly waking up one morning and realizing there's $2,000 extra in your bank account is great, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's great. Yes.
Yeah.
I shared my Halloween dad in the private chat.
Oh, what am I supposed to? Do you want me to copy that and paste that in? Here, look, you see, I've got to do this horrible copy pasty thing like this. Here we go. Oh, you just took a photo of your dad.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm sitting in front of the window, and he's right here with his thing.
Oh my
I got to
goodness.
say, either, right, and forgive me, right, either you have the most incredible noise suppression on your microphone, or your dad's not actually doing a fat lot, Wendie. He's just out there sort of going around.
My house is very well isolated.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Look, Wendy's dad on the show. You can show it. You can tell him that later. I'm sure he'll be delighted. Yeah, so go and vote on the awards and, see if you can get somebody to get a couple of grand in their pocket. That's a really nice.
That would be so nice.
A really nice initiative. Okay, so I'll just let you know it's called bluehostawards.com. They even got the domain. All right. Here we go. Okay, this is the story that keeps on giving, and it feels like it has finally come to what I think is a really nice outcome. Patrick Posner was in the comments a moment ago. I don't know if he still is, but this is the Ollie theme. I think really we've covered this probably on a weekly basis for the last month or so, which is highly unusual for a theme. But Ollie, a block-based theme, came out. I'll just give you a brief summary. Came out, and they had an onboarding wizard built into the theme. And some of the people on the theme review team objected and said, this is plugin territory. It gives you a bit of a commercial advantage, which other themes wouldn't necessarily have. So they recommended it should be removed before inclusion in the repo. Some notable people came forward and said, actually, do you know what? We don't think the guidelines require that. And so that was the likes of Justin Tadlock and Josepha, Hayden Chomposi, and even Matt Mullenweg chimed in and said, yeah, let it fly. They didn't. In the end, the two developers, Mike McAllister and Patrick, have decided to ship their onboarding wizard as a separate plugin. This then will hopefully at some point enable other theme developers to utilize that and build on top of it. But Sarah Gooding, writing in this post on the WP Tavern, it's called Ollie Dash plugin, so that's what it's called, now available for Ollie block theme. She really seems to like it. She goes out of her way, I think, to essentially say she thinks it's a really nice idea. Gets you set up with a block-based theme. The time to get started is fairly long, and she says this gets you to the races much, much more quickly, especially for things like setting up the homepage and things like that. So I will raise it onto the screen. You can see, typically with the Ollie theme, it looks beautiful. And it allows you to do things like choose your brand, create some pages, select a home page, and then get your site launched. And Sarah seems to be a real proponent of this. She seems to like it a lot. So bravo, Mr. Posner and Mr. McAllister. Well done. Again, open up to the panel. Anything to add?
Yeah, I really like it too. I really like that they moved it to a plugin as well. Listening to the comments from the team review team. But one of the things that I run into in my work most is new users not knowing where to start. And for them, this is like really helpful. WordPress.com has something similar, but to have it on the open source in a way that is available for everybody, I really like it. So well done.
Thank you, Wendie.
That was it.
Yeah, great. There he is. He's still in the comments. He says, still here. And I don't know if he's saying thanks to me. Possibly not. I suspect he's saying thanks to Mike Johnston, because Mike Johnston wrote just prior to that, I loaded the Ollie theme and the Dash plugin on a test site this week. It's a nice looking theme and the plugin is pretty slick. So my expectation is Patrick's probably answering to that. I don't know if any of you three have actually tried to use a block-based theme, but if you are, even if you're really into WordPress, it is not as straightforward as you would wish it to be. There's really a lot of pitfalls and a lot of little tripwires. And I suspect a lot of people who, well, maybe Roger can talk about this. I don't know if this is the kind of client that they get. Maybe it's not. But I think a lot of churn happens at hosting companies with things like this. You know, you get there, you get set up, you start to create your website, and you're quickly like, what the heck even is this? Where are things? Where's the experience of getting me started? And so things like this make that process a whole ton easier. So, Roger, maybe that's not your client at all.
Actually, this is one of the big problems that our company solves, and
Nice.
I'm very happy that Patrick is actually launching some pretty cool stuff on our platform. And Patrick, I know you're still in the comments. We didn't specifically discuss the Ollie WildCloud SaaS, but I know it's something that we discussed in the past, and this is one of the things that provides more versatility to how people get started. So maybe to give a bit more context, what our customers typically do is they sell pre-built managed websites. So instead of getting on a hosting provider and then having to set up everything yourself, and even if you had such a delivery service, then you still have to manage it all yourself and figure it out. That's something that we completely take away because the agency can basically manage all of the sites from a single source. And the thing that Patrick is doing on the platform right now is nothing even remotely similar to what I've just said. He uses it to facilitate a website called Web2Zip, which is so very interesting. But the idea of having a pre-built managed website typically means that you focus on a specific use case and solve a problem for a very particular niche. And so although you usually can offer multiple design templates for your customers, it usually doesn't really do much configuration. That's often part of a setup service. But a tool such as the Ollie WP plugin guides you through the process. So it not only gives you something that you've already bought pre-built, it even helps you familiarize with what you've actually purchased. So I love it. I think Patrick is doing very cool things.
Yeah, it sounds like there could be a lot of synchronicity between what he's doing and what you offer, because any client, even if you've paid in, as you described, you've created a template of a site and then you sell that on to the clients, and so they kind of know what they're getting. Let's imagine it's a real estate site or something like that, and they've got that website on the click of a button. Still, some kind of onboarding is kind of cool, and so I don't know exactly what the remit of that will be, but Patrick's here, he's still in the comments. He says we will also have the plugin in the plugin repository, and so obviously, Roger, there's all of what comes with that statement. You can amend it and what have you, but the recent queue, it will take a couple of months. We're still in that phase, even though the theme review team have had loads of process updates and some new staff coming on board. There's still a massive queue. So you never know, Roger. Maybe you should take this offline with Patrick and.
I've already made a note of it.
yeah, great. Okay, so Patrick, you can expect Roger in about, I would say, in about 38 minutes or something to send you an email, something like that, when we end. Ben, Layer WP, it could be straightforward, and what Ollie has done is a step in the right direction. I entirely agree. And then Patrick's back. It's so nice when you feature something on this show and the person who's making it is in the chat, because it's like, oh, great. You just get it right from the horse's mouth. Imagine your WordPress journey starts with just the domain. You don't even need a hosting company to get started. Add your domain, start the onboarding. You have a WP site in a couple of minutes. Brilliant. Okay. Michelle, was everything all right? You disappeared for a moment there. I don't know if that was accidental.
Yeah, I had an internet issue. I rebooted my computer. Everything seems to be fine now. Thank you.
We're back. Good.
That's what the sign says. She's fine. It's fine.
This is fine.
Nice.
Everything's fine.
This is fine. Yeah, it's all good.
It's totally fine.
Yeah, no, that was me pressing the wrong button. I actually meant to press this button to make that comment go away, but I actually pressed the button to make Michelle go away. Sorry about that. Okay, let's put the next piece up. That was on WP Tavern, by the way. This is somebody else who's often on the show. He's often a guest, but he's often also in the chat. But I haven't seen him today. But this is Marcus Burnett from GoDaddy, and he's come up with a really neat idea, I think. Cast your mind back probably 3 weeks ago. We had the WordPress drama where suddenly, out of nowhere, in the WordPress plugin repository, a button appeared. And that button allowed you to view the plugin that you were currently inspecting in Playground, which is a browser-based version of WordPress. How that works, God only knows, but it does work. But for many plugin developers, they had objections because they didn't ask for it to be done in that way. And in some cases, the plugin simply wouldn't work because of things like, dependencies. Let's say you've got a WooCommerce extension. Well, Playground's not going to install WooCommerce for you, so that plugin won't work, and it will look like your plugin is at fault. So Marcus has come up with what I consider to be the perfect answer to this problem, the perfect antidote. He's basically saying, can we please bring it back, but with two caveats. The first one is you have to opt into it. And the way you would opt into that is by declaring this in your in the file that comes along with your plugin, and you would simply declare playground to be true. Let's zoom in on that. You can see it there, playground : true. If you don't want to do that because you don't really want to use playground because you've got a far more elaborate version elsewhere that really demos exactly what your plugin does, what about this instead? What about being able to create a URL, a demo URI with the URL listed? So if you don't fill out either of those, there's no button. If you fill out playground is true, you get the playground button. And if you fill out the demo URI, it sends you off to your own version of the plugin where you can install whatever it is that you want to install and make it work. This just seems like the perfect answer. Maybe you're going to shoot me down, but what do you think?
I like it a whole lot better than having it automatically do that. So many plugins require so many settings to be able to get it to look like what you want it to look like, that, and also, that sometimes the free plugin in the repo builds on something that already needs to be installed, right? So
yep.
Having those things autoplay didn't make a lot of sense because somebody could easily be dissuaded to use your plugin if it didn't look like what they expected because of all those, the settings and things, that prerequisites that need to be in place for it to do what it's supposed to do. And so I think having an opt-in makes a lot of sense, or a demo site makes a lot of sense. Both of them actually look really good as options.
Yeah, I think so. It seems to satisfy everybody's needs, really. Wendie, Roger, anything?
Totally agree.
Yeah, nice.
I thought it was astounding in the first place that this was something that was available for all plugins, especially with the dependencies. Just such bad UX.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a bit of a blunder, wasn't it? And I think the person who was in charge of pushing that live on the repo has subsequently sort of said, "Yeah, I get it. With hindsight, it probably wasn't the right thing to do, but I think probably on the things that they had tested, it seemed like it seemed like a reasonable thing to do. But obviously, as we know, with 60,000 plus plugins in the repository, there's going to be some of those that simply don't work. So yeah, we have it sorted now, I think. Let's see if that gets implemented. So that was on the make.track.wordpress.org. That's a lot of dots. And it's ticket number 7307. So you can go and check that out, and you can, give some commentary on that, like a lot of people have. Mm-hmm. Okay, moving on. So first off, I have to say my accessibility chops are probably not what they should be. I think everybody would obviously like everything to be accessible all the time. But this is a post which tries to address one thing on the internet, which is a problem for accessibility, and that is accordions. And I cannot say whether this is working or not, but I just saw it. So I thought I'd mention it. That's part of what I do. This is Taylor Arndt, and it's on Mastodon. And Taylor is linking to a GitHub. It's not GitHub. It's a Gumroad plugin sales site. But it does appear that you can get it for, let's see if that's acceptable. I don't know. There's a fair price thing for it, but it's called WP Accessible FAQ. And what it will spit out is basically this. So it is an accordion, and the claim from Taylor, at least anyway, and as I said, I can't honestly say that I've tested it, is that what has been built is an accessibility, compliant accordion. So I just wanted to give that a bit of a mention. And I know that Michelle is big into this topic. We probably all are, but I just happen to know that Michelle is. So what are your thoughts on this?
If it works like it says it does, I think it's fantastic. I think accordions are one of the things that are hard to get right with accessibility. And so if if the screen reader reads this properly and inspires you to open and continue to read, and it works exactly like it should, then it seems like a no-brainer.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't know if it does actually fulfill all of the obligations, but Taylor certainly seems to. think that it does. So I will link to it in the show notes. Wendie, Roger, anything to add there?
No, nothing to add. I just have one thing. How much time do you spend searching all these things? Because you have like a massive list of things.
They come to me mostly.
They come to you?
I bring them in from the ether. I have a cauldron. You heard it earlier, actually. And at the beginning, on a Friday night, I just add in some WordPress spice and out they come. No, the truth is I have a giant RSS feed. It's truly overwhelming. I open it up on a Friday morning, getting things ready for you guys to read the show notes at Friday at some point, and I probably go through anecdotally about 300 or 400 articles. Yeah, but I don't read them all. Like anything that starts with a number, I ignore. So 10 best things to that's that all gets cut out. But then just things which
so all the posts we wrote about 10 cool things about Nathan Wrigley and 10 reasons.
Yeah, but we all know that's a lie anyway. but yeah, so all of that. So, but also what I do, I've got this process of during my browsing during the week, I've got all these browser extensions where I just click a button if something interests me, and it just drops into the queue for this show. So there's a bit of a process going on. But yeah, I do read a lot,
nice.
and whittle it
Thanks
down
for
to
that. Yeah, because that would mean we don't have to search the entire internet.
That's right. Yeah, the problem is you've got to be aligned with what I think. That's the only problem there. But there's an audience for that kind of thing. But yeah. So anyway, Taylor, thank you. Let's make the assumption that Taylor's done a cracking job there.
Well, Taylor is a blind creator, and so is where this was. You could see where it was in action on the previous slide.
Thank you.
Our previous tab is at blindcopywriter.com/FAQ test. So I'm going to assume if two blind people are working together on this, that it's probably pretty accessible.
Do you know what? That's fascinating. I didn't even read the URL, but you are quite right. The URL for this is blindcopywriter.com/FAQ-test.
And that's Alicia Geary.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Okay, maybe now that this has arisen, we'll get somebody to have a look at it, and we can assess whether it's good, bad, or ugly. My intuition is it's definitely worth a look, so maybe go and have a quick look. Whilst we're on the subject of plugins, I thought I'd mention a few things which have come along in terms of deals. Obviously, it's Black Friday. We mentioned that with my Black Friday page, but here's a couple of things. We mentioned them a few weeks ago. If you need to do bookings, there's a new player in town. It's a WordPress plugin, so typically, Calendly and things like that are a SaaS platform. You can obviously do all of this in WordPress. And Fluent Booking, so that's the company behind Fluent Forms and a variety of other projects called WP Manage Ninja. They've just recently introduced their plugin, and it is currently on a lifetime deal. So if that kind of thing piques your interest, you can get in with early pricing. I think it's fairly feature-rich. There's a few bits and pieces which are not quite there yet. But if anything, if there are other products or anything to go by, they will have a fairly aggressive roadmap for that. Also, Presto Player, which is a way of skinning a video, like a video from YouTube or Vimeo. You can add playlists and things like that. It's a really nice experience. You can add things onto the top of the video and what happens when the video finishes rather than showing you a bunch of YouTube ads. That's also on a lifetime deal. Let's just have a quick look. It's $2.99 for 25 sites. So again, if you're making a lot of video content, that might be for you. And then these things popped up on AppSumo for me this week. Please don't take these as a recommendation because I've never used them. But Bit Integration purports to be something a bit like Zapier for WordPress, a bit like WP Fusion, something like that. So there's that. Bit Integrations, you can find it on AppSumo. Then there's this one, which I thought was kind of curious. If, like me, you create lots of blog posts, but then never go back and do the internal linking so that the SEO improves, this apparently will do a lot of that work for you. It will consume your entire website and then figure out where backlinks could work. The words AI probably come to mind. Oh yeah, look, AI-powered internal link builder. You can't have a product these days without AI, can you, frankly? We have AI cat food. We don't. I made that up, but we probably could have. Squirrely SEO is another one. This is an SEO plugin which will try to tell you what to do, as opposed to the incumbents, which all you fill it out and then it gives you an appraisal, red, orange, green, and that kind of thing. The idea here is that it just scrapes your site and tells you what you should do without you having to think. So again, it's AI. But yeah, hey, there you go. Anything you want to add to those? Probably not. No. Okay. Let's go back to the tavern. I don't know enough about WordPress security, but I do know something that's worth mentioning when I see it. 4 million websites is a lot. And so this week, I think it was WordFence that spotted this one. The Lightspeed Cache plugin has an XSS, cross-site scripting vulnerability. I am not going to try and describe the ins and outs of it, but basically, if you have Lightspeed cache plugin installed, there has been a problem with it. Insufficient sanitization and output escaping on user supplied attributes. Write that on a postcard and send it to your grandmother. So basically, caveat emptor, if you've got this plugin, go and update it, because that would be important. I don't suppose you three have got anything to add to that. You never know. One of you might be a full-on security expert and nerd out on that. Or not.
Going with the not.
Yes, at this point I should have a tumbleweed sound, like a
Yeah.
Okay, let us move on. Okay, this one really interesting, because I know a lot of people use Cloudways as their hosting provider of choice. It's now owned by DigitalOcean, I think. Oh yeah, look, the logo even says it. DigitalOcean are running Cloudways. They've collaborated with Patchstack, and if you're in the WordPress space, you'll come across them. They're a WordPress security company, so they deal with the kind of thing that we've just been talking about. And yeah, they are thrilled to announce, I quote, the Cloudways vulnerability scanner to enhance your Cloudways experience. It's powered by Patchstack. It feels on the face of it as if basically the collaboration is Cloudways have put Patchstack's tech inside of your Cloudways control panel, and it will give you the usual bits and pieces, telling you if you've got an update for plugins that are required, telling you if there are things which have been, recently flagged by their security team, and so on and so forth. But it's just really the monumental size of these two big players. Patchstack really growing at an incredible rate as far as I can tell, and Cloudways seems like a kind of a bit of a match made in heaven. I bet Roger is going to want to say something about this. At least I hope he will.
Well, coincidentally, I just had a meeting with Oliver, the
Sild.
owner of Patchstack.
Yeah.
Sild, yeah, just a few hours ago. And they've grown to 20 people in size.
Yeah, nice.
And he's actually showed me this integration last week. And it's not just an amazing add-on for Cloudways to have. It's also something that will propel the growth of Patchstack to another level, because it's basically just an inbound lead magnet, right? Because you're clicking on it, it will guide you to a Patchstack page, which will update you on whatever they've just communicated through your admin on your Cloudways account. And it'll, convince you why you should also work with Patchstack directly. So it's I think it's an amazing improvement for Cloudways, and it's a great tool for Patchstack to grow even more.
It's kind of a nice sweet spot for them, isn't it? Because, I obviously, if you've really got no interest in that, if you can't opt out of those notifications, that would be a bit of an annoyance, I suppose. If you've got something else figured out, but not. Well, I can't see how anybody would be annoyed if some security company comes along and says, "Do you know what? There's 3 things on your website which we absolutely know need attention. Click on this link and we'll tell you more about them." It's just a perfect win-win, isn't it? Cloudways win because they're adding something for nothing. Patchstack win because they get a whole load of... I'm suspecting it'll be a whole load of new traffic.
It's a flood wave, I'm sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
it's very unintrusive as well. It's just an icon in your account. So yeah, I've seen it. It's just very helpful to have.
Yeah. It doesn't look like they're sort of doing anything on the back end to sort of update your files or anything like that. This is more an advice-based collaboration. So Patchstack are just telling you that there are things which are worth looking at, and they make this point: you get 48 hours where they will say they will give you that little head start before it's released into the public domain. So for things which are about to be released, it looks like Patchstack will give you at least 48 hours to be ahead of that. And obviously, barring the weekend and things like that, that should give you enough time to update your sites. So another nice collaboration.
Many difficult conversations with customers, with clients.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Good point.
Solid WP was previously iThemes and iThemes Security. Solid WP Security Pro is also recently joined with Patchstack, and so Patchstack is part of iThemes Security Pro, putting in that firewall layer when you're using what was previously iThemes Security, which is now Solid WP. So I think it's exciting that Patchstack is doing some amazing things and working with some amazing companies to make sure that our sites are well protected and patched before we even know there is a vulnerability.
I think that's really the kind of reason I was saying that Patchstack seem to be growing at a really good rate. They seem to have recently. So you're mentioning Solid WP, aka was iThemes Security, now Solid WP. The partnership with them makes that whole Patchstack side of things really credible. Now you got Cloudways, that makes that whole side of things really credible. But I guess the interesting thing here for Patchstack is that it's the DigitalOcean space, or rather Cloudways space. I don't suppose the confines of WordPress, are they? So presumably they can, reach a much bigger audience because you don't have to be using WordPress in order to be on their platform. I think I heard a dog, but I could be wrong.
It's mine.
Is it your dog?
It's Michelle.
No.
I missed it.
Sorry, Michelle.
Oh, that goes two ways. That goes two ways.
Oh, sorry, excuse me. I saw the mailman go by.
Yeah. Went and bit his leg. Wendie, we have to have the dog on the screen. I'm sorry. It's not acceptable to have a barky dog that we don't get to see.
Let me get it.
Okay, you got the dog. Look. Here it comes. Let's get rid of
this outcome.
I actually have two.
Oh. Come here, barky dog.
I think Justin put a sign on the front door that says beware of dog.
Michelle, whatever you're saying, that barky dog is totally no. It's look there they go. We got to see them for a brief moment.
I saw Yorkie, I think.
This episode is going to be now called Barky
For
Dog.
the dogs.
I think Barky Dog. Or this is fine. Oh, look! One in each arm.
There's one and there's one. Two tiny little dogs.
Are they Shih Tzu?
And there's my ghost dad
Yeah,
in the background.
they belong on the screen. That's so lovely. Thank you. Hi, Dad. There's Dad. The hedge cutter. Brilliant. This show never gets derailed, does it? Not ever. It never goes off piece at all. Right. Okay. Let's get back to the sort of WordPressy stuff. Okay. This is not really WordPress at all, but it's very adjacent to WordPress. And I think, for me at least anyway, this is quite nice news. So this came on the Matt blog, ma.tt. So this is Matt Mullenweg's personal blog, and it is to announce that Automatic have purchased an app called Texts. So 5 letters, texts.com. I mean, goodness only knows what that domain alone would have been worth. But they've bought the SaaS app for, I think the total was, you can correct me if I'm wrong, was it $50 million US? I think something like that. The intention is to be able to consume all of your messaging services and have them in one interface. And I've got to say that I actually think this is a genuine problem which somebody needed to solve. And I didn't realize Texts had done it. So I'm a member of various local societies where I live. One of them uses WhatsApp. Another one uses Facebook Messenger. I prefer to use Signal for everything. Then you've got text message. Then you've got Slack, and you've got LinkedIn, and you've got, Facebook normal. There, it's back. The dog is back. Wendy, I'm going to mute you whilst the dog is there briefly. Hold on. How do I mute you? I don't know how I mute you. If you mute you, that would be
I was
great.
already muted.
Oh,
so,
that's great. Thank you. And it consumes all of those into one feed. So, yeah, $50 million. I think this is great. I would love it if somebody solves that problem. So let me just go through onto the page, and you can see what it is that they're claiming to do. I don't know if you can see the logos at the bottom there, but we've got Telegram, WhatsApp, Apple, I guess that's iMessage, Discord, LinkedIn, Facebook Messenger, Signal, Slack, Instagram. There's probably more. Oh, yeah, there we go. Which ones did I make? Oh, Twitter. Twitter? I wonder if Elon is going to allow this. But Twitter apparently is in there as well, plus all the other ones that they said. And the idea is it just consumes it all into one single feed. And I love that it's Automatic that's bought this, because my impression, at least anyway, is that the products that they've bought in the past, they have not destroyed. They've done a good job, and I just have this intuition that they're to be trusted. So I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on this, but I think it's a real problem being solved. It's great.
So can you also... Wait, hold on. So I was wondering if it now also includes the encryption. So you're basically getting Signal level encryption, but you're probably texting people on WhatsApp. Is that how it works? Because that would be...
I really don't know, because the encryption level on each of these, you would imagine there is a different thing going on. So I don't really know.
Oh.
I'll just read. I mean, they make this bold claim at the top. So presumably this website existed before Automatic acquired it. I don't know. I mean, at the masthead of the website, it does say it's part of Automatic. So maybe they've updated this website, but it it might have been around for ages. It says your message never touch texts servers. So there's that. They're encrypted and sent directly to the messaging platforms. Texts makes money. So the company Texts makes money through a monthly subscription, not through your data. So I would happily pay for this if it turned out that everything that they said previously was true. I mean, I'm not going to pay like $80 a month or anything like that, but I would happily pay to have all of that, just one app. And then, of course, they've got AI, because, you've got to have,
of course,
AI.
chat summaries.
But then they combine it all into one inbox. And I don't know if there's a Mac app and a desktop app for Windows and all of that kind of stuff. But genuinely, it does kind of frustrate me that the world is in different little ecosystems and we can't communicate with each other. So as a perfect example, my child goes to a club and they only communicate through Facebook. What's it called? WhatsApp. I don't really want WhatsApp on my phone, but I have to have it if I want my son to be getting regular updates and things like that. So this hopefully would solve those problems. Anyway, I've talked too much. Wendy.
Yeah,
Michelle.
I have it.
Oh, yes. And what's it like? Why do you have it, Wendy? Tell us why you got it first.
I work at Automatic, so
Yeah.
I tested it.
Did you know this was coming then? Is this something that's been in the pipeline for a while?
I did not until it was announced that we could download it and test it, which is what I did.
And
I
it doesn't
realized
work at all. Everything they said is a lie.
I thought it works. It works. It does what it says it does. I thought I would love it, but I now found out I like my things in little departments. So I uninstalled it. Also, it's not working on a phone. So for me, a phone might be an interesting thing where it could work. But on my desktop, everything is super organized. Every little silo is in its own silo. And I thought it would be nice to have everything in one thing. And it didn't work for me at all. I really liked it in different parts of the Wendie computer ecosystem.
I'm hoping this is open source because I'm going to download it and fork it and then redistribute the platform as 19 different apps, one for each of the services that you can use. So I'm going to have a WhatsApp add-on, a Slack add-on, a Facebook Messenger add-on, and they'll all open in a completely separate window. And you'll be right back where you started, Wendie.
Yeah, the thing is, maybe I didn't work it out correctly because I have different. I am very active. I'm a very active muter, so I have different settings for muting different things at different times, and that was missing.
Oh, okay. So it doesn't combat that problem of like notifications and overload of stuff that you don't want at different times of day. Okay, that's interesting. Maybe these features will come.
Or maybe I didn't look because with testing new things, I'm like, ooh, cool, new thing. If it doesn't work within 2 minutes, I'm like, yeah, no, tell me later how to do it.
Okay, now the episode's going to be called "Cool New Thing." Yeah, I get it though. Because I dislike the mess that it creates in my life. I hadn't really thought about your use case, but if you want to switch off, let's say Messenger, I don't know, 5 o'clock is the deadline, and it comes back on at 9 in the morning because Messenger is the thing that you use for work, say. Yeah, that kind of makes sense. For me, it's just the frustration of, I think really it's the frustration of giving everything to Facebook. In the UK this week, there's this whole thing still in the press at the moment about things like Brexit and what was said by whom and when and whether there was collusion from different parts of the world. And it turns out that most of the communication about the whole Brexit thing amongst the people making the decisions was done on WhatsApp. And I just think that's so weird that we would be using a Facebook product to make decisions about key parts of British politics. But anyway, there you go.
Yeah, if that's any, I may not, maybe I shouldn't be saying this, but if that's anything like how it works in the Netherlands, it's because anything that you email to each other is automatically documented. So all of the rumors, all of the chit chat, all of the work that's done before they are ready to formalize anything in like an official document, and that includes any email, they'll discuss it on WhatsApp.
Okay, so it's a legit
SMS,
like a legit way of saying something that that can't be unencrypted, so you can do it. It's like a back channel. And it's
like a back channel.
Yeah, the problem that we have here is that it would appear that almost everybody who did use WhatsApp has now deleted their trove of messages, and so when the authorities come to them and say, okay, tell us what the contents of your messages was, they can simply say, well, it's all gone, it was deleted. I delete things.
We have a similar problem. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So this won't solve any of that, but at least it'll put it into one place. And anyway, there we go.
Yeah, I must say I have one thing to add, because I'm not saying that it's not a good thing, but I only use browser things for everything, so I'm not using apps. So that might have tricked it. That might have jinxed it as well a little bit, because I'm so used to doing the thing that I'm doing.
Yep.
That yeah. So
well.
But give it a go.
Yeah, give it a go. I won't say that Wendie's got invites, but Wendie's got invites. That's all I'm not saying.
Give it a try.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, there we go. That's a new.
Yeah, I got a couple of invites.
She's got a couple of invites, so you act quickly if you fancy that. Right, okay, last couple of things. Oh, by the way, I tried to sign up and I got on the wait list, so it looks like that's the process at the moment. We're very, very short of time, so I'm going to... okay, very quickly, I'm going to mention this and then you can go and find it out for yourself. So Halloween is not a big deal in the UK. Not really, and not to the scale it is in the US, where it almost feels like Halloween is on par with Christmas in terms of the engagement and the public messaging and the sort of spirit in which everybody enters into it. In the UK, it's basically small children and people like me with nothing else to do with their lives apart from create orange backgrounds and cackling sounds on their live webinars. But it turns out that apparently the whole thing started in Ireland and was taken over from Ireland to North America. So if you have an Irish passport, you can you can claim ownership of the whole Halloween tradition. And so I'm going to link to that blog. Can I share an invite? Look, Wendie, you got it coming in already. Oh dear.
Yeah, send me a DM on Twitter, and I will send you.
There you go. Thank you. Anyway, so if you've got an Irish passport, this is the deal. Now, this is my favourite story of all time. Michelle, can I just say, do that laugh again? Yeah. Oh, brilliant. Oh, God. This is so great. Can you imagine being present at this place? Nothing to do with WordPress, but Wendie supplied us with this story, so I feel Wendie should introduce it.
It was Michelle.
Sorry,
not me.
I apologise. It was Michelle. It wasn't Wendie.
If you scroll down, there's a video. I don't know if you saw that.
Can we? Dare we?
So you can actually see it.
Is there a video, or is my ad blocker stopping it?
Oh, it might be stopping it. There was a video.
Let me just turn off the ad blockers. Hold on. Let's just refresh. See if there's a video. Reject all. Go on. No, I've got more ad blockers.
It's in that tweet. That tweet right there that's not showing up right there.
This one?
Yeah.
If Elon Musk has got anything to do with that, I won't even be able to see that. Okay,
yeah,
okay.
And it wasn't just a trickle. It's actually hundreds of thousands of gallons of port wine just literally flowing through the streets of Porto. I just went in search of weird stories and found this one. It was about a month ago, but I had missed it at that point. And I just want to know, I don't think Bob WP is like watching right now, but if he were, I just want to know if he went down there with his like Tupperware containers and just started like scooping it up.
Do you know, that would be me.
Just lay flat on the street and open your mouth.
Yeah,
seriously.
It is interesting. I was having a communication with Bob on the same day that this thing happened on, well, probably some messaging platform, and the conversation did get progressively more, difficult to understand.
So apparently,
I
suspect out there bringing him samples.
Look at that! That's a full-on deluge of booze.
It is
That's
an
hysterical.
River.
I honestly thought it was, when we saw this video, it was going to be like a little bit of a trickle. That is a full on.
It looks like it's all the wine in Portugal.
It does. Mike Johnson said people all over Portugal were crying, which I can imagine because I can't even imagine how much money's worth of wine that was. But it says towards the top somewhere about how big the storage containers were. I just don't work. There you go.
Here we go.
2.2 million liters of wine.
So for those of us in those of us in Europe using metric, 2.2 million. So
literally hundreds of thousands of
I can't even say the words. 2.2 million litres of wine, which is 581,000 gallons poured down this street. And
insanity.
Straight into the... Seriously, though, that street that we were looking at, and that video is, by the way, still go. Oh, no, it was 58 seconds long. It's a full-on torrent. This has to end up in a watercourse somewhere. So somewhere there are some very, very merry fish. Just
unfortunately, they're probably dead because this is a toxin for our wildlife. But
that's sad.
There are probably some very happy bees because bees will drink things that are fermented and then have a little fun time flying away. But I don't think the fish would survive.
Interesting.
Peacher Neri says it's a full-on tragedy. Yeah. Isn't it funny? We all watched this and all of us exclaimed like quite a lot of shock. It's the idea of such. We know that if you put that in a bottle, it's going to cost you quite a lot of money. There it all is. Just.
Can you imagine how amazing it would smell though? Like to be walking down the street and just smell that wine.
My favourite story, like I say, of all time. Peacher continues. Peacher continues to say, "I come from a winemaking family, and this is truly shaking me to my core."
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh boy. What we will find out, and it'll be hysterical. Next week, we'll find out it's deep fake. and it was just rainwater that somebody with an AI made red and sucked us all in with their story. That is it. That's all we've got time for. However, not quite, because at the end of this show, we always do this somewhat humiliating, we do this sort of hand wavy thing. But honestly, if I can make you more humiliated, I will do it. And today... so what we have to do is we have to line our bodies up so that it kind of goes. Oh, the dogs don't like it. Okay, here we go. Raise your hands. Make sure that the hand doesn't go in front of the pumpkin there. Oh, look, Roger's even holding his up.
Oh, I love it.
Absolutely perfect. The most humiliated you have been in your lives. I fully appreciate the fact that you were
Nathan, if only this was the most humiliating thing.
I must try harder. I really must try harder. That was episode number 273 of This Week in WordPress. It goes without saying, I'd like to thank Wendie. I'd like to thank Roger. Hopefully they'll come back on the show. They'll really appreciate it if you did. But also, going to the next level. There's Michelle Frechette with her pretty...
Oh, that is the goal? That is what we're
yeah, that's the level. Time? That's the level we've all... That's the depths we've got to plumb ourselves to. Oh, look, she's back. Michelle, I have to ask, just before we end...
It was really hot.
all of that, right? You made, right? It looks like it's paper. You've cut out...
It is. It took an afternoon to cut out all the paper and glue it on. My daughter saw it when she was over. She said... Did you do that yourself? I said, yeah, I know it looks like a toddler did it, but I did it myself.
Michelle, I can only say thank you. You brighten my life. You brighten everybody. Yeah, exactly. You brighten everybody else's lives. I really
you set the standard. I mean,
he has set the standard.
I don't know what I'm going to do next year, but I have to start thinking now if I'm going to top the last 2 years.
Oh, we got the Christmas episode coming up. You got that. So, all right, we're going to end it now. Thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it. We will see you next week. Thanks for the comments. Take it easy.